Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of our game that we always want to highlight. So no matter who the opponent is, we want to try to be difficult to play against and break down, but then we're doing that not just to disrupt, we're doing it so we can go and create. And we were able to get into those moments a lot the other night in attacking transition, but I think that's been a topic for us about how do we maximize those. And you can point to the obvious ones that end in shots on goal, like the one with Daho, and that can win the game. But it goes further than that. I think that's an opportunity that Daho is going to get again, and he's either going to finish it or maybe he's going to upgrade that chance and find, I think it was Jacob Merle on the other side just for an easier chance. But the ones that we don't get a final action like that, those are the ones that I think that we want to look at, that we want to maximize more going forward, because we're tops in the league in counterattack expected goals, but we have to finalize these types of situations, and we're going to keep working on that. We're going to keep being in those moments, and we're going to improve.
Yeah. When you talk about finalizing, obviously there's a magic answer. Everybody you do it, but how does that process go? How do you try to? Because you're creating chances. If that was a 1-0 game the other night, could have been either way.
Yeah. There's a lot more details in it than just saying, hey, can Daho hit the back of the net? That's something I tried to communicate to him. I love that he took that opportunity and was confident enough to go and get into that moment. Just to get into that moment is something that is not easy to do, and he really created a great situation for our team. And he's going to continue to do that. It's really about the details and the ones that don't materialize into shots on goal that we want to improve, that maybe end with us playing too far wide of the goal, and now it's a crossing situation rather than a direct shot on goal. So the details within that are what we looked at this week, and things that we're going to continue to focus on, because one more time, we're going to be in those situations often, and that means that we're dictating the way the match, how we want it to be played.
And it seems like obviously the players are relieving that. I mean, we're talking about nobody's afraid at the moment. I mean, Jacob Merle comes in right away, gets a shot on goal. That, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is there doesn't seem to be a tentativeness.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to have confidence to go in these moments. But before you even get into the attacking transition, you have to have confidence in the way that we are aggressive against the ball, no matter the area on the field which we pick to be aggressive. So you have to have a great deal amount of understanding of what we're trying to do to go execute that and be confident in that way. And Jacob being able to come on and Daho to be able to come on in the match, that's important too. We talked about that a couple weeks ago about getting healthy and being able to have a number of guys available. And when Jacob and Daho can come into the match and not only maintain the level but even raise it in some capacity at that stage of the game, that's going to benefit us in the long run. And I know we jumped right into what this week's preparation is going to be for Chicago. But speaking of that, in terms of our health, one thing that I wanted to say was that Russell Canals and Connor Antley, were thinking about them. They both came through their own separate surgeries in a really good manner, and they're on the way towards getting back into the team, I hope, and maybe not 2024, but certainly in the future.
And then we talked to Jackson this week, Hopkins, just before we always saw him more of a winger or et cetera. The role that he is playing seems like an important one. You talk about how that is and how he's adjusting. That's a big responsibility.
Jackson's. I'm really proud of Jackson so far about how he's been able to become more consistent in his form, become someone that we can depend on in a lot of different ways. And he's playing in a position that is not so familiar to him. I mean, we're asking him to be a 6, and naturally he's a 9. He grew up as a 9, and so he's onboarding a lot of information and applying that information in a tremendous way. And he's just someone that the way that he works every single week, it inspires Steve Birnbaum, Christian Benteke. They talk about Jackson, and they say this kid has something. And so we're benefiting from that and realizing what his potential is, and I'm hopeful that continues to grow in the way that it has over the first 14 matches.
Now we'll take some from Zoom, Matt.
We'll start with Donald Juan.
Thank you. Hey, Troy, good to see you. Hello to everybody in the room. When you look at Chicago, traditionally Chicago DC matches have been, for lack of a better word, chippy and physical. They have some guys that are would be first ballot Hall of Fame and CONCACAF for gamesmanship. What's your approach this week for the guys as you approach a game that can be on the traditional end, a physical match with a lot of chirping back and forth?
Yeah, I don't know that to be the case necessarily in my experience playing against Chicago. I would say last year with Red Bull, and then in the year previous with Red Bull as an assistant coach, they were a side that always was organized in a way that I think highlighted their talent, and so they have a number of talented players. Will the match have some aggression in it? Absolutely, because that's part of our identity, and we want to make sure that we can pose a challenge to them that minimizes a lot of their talented players. And so for us, it's about, just as we executed the match plan against Miami in so many different ways, we have to do that at home throughout 90 minutes in order to realize the result that we want to see, and that's really what our focus is on.
We have one more submitted via Zoom.
Okay.
Can you talk to us about how the midfield core of Click, Jackson Hopkins, Stroud, and Peltola have meshed so far this season?
Yeah, I spoke a few minutes ago just about Jackson, so I talked about him individually, and I think that he's part of that midfield group between himself, Clicky, Marcel Peltola, that's probably the highest demand. Jared, is a little bit more of a winger, and he comes back into the midfield and he does a lot of work against the ball, as does Ted Kudapietro, Gabby Pirani, Christian Fletcher, Martin Rodriguez. Those guys do it from a wider position, but specifically about Jackson, Matty Peltola, and Matty Click, those three guys, they're the engine of what we do. They're the heart of everything that we do. They have to have not only a tremendous amount of physical capacity, but their mental capacity to see what the opponent's doing and adjust, because we ask them to have flexibility during the match to realize when to step out and play a higher line versus come into a lower line. We really have a tremendous amount of the match plan dependent on them and them executing things in our way. So I feel like they've onboarded that information, like I talked about with Jackson, but all three of them in a way that allows us to be in our identity. And we're certainly going to need that this weekend for those three guys to be on point when we play Chicago.